This is Kim with Big Sense, and guess what? I'm in a new location. I am in Humboldt. Did you guess it? No, of course not. I am with a very special person, and I know you guys are going to love her just as much as I do. But before I go into anything, again, remember to like and subscribe. That is the only way that my channel is able to grow. So let's get into our topic. Today, we are going to speak with someone that is running for mayor. I felt like it was going to be a great idea in order to speak with her because she's going to give us all the information that you need if you ever decided that you wanted to be a mayor. How cool is that? This is Miss Christine Warrington, and I'm so happy she's with us today. Thank you so much for being with us today, Miss Christine.
It's my pleasure, Kim. Thank you so much for having me, and it's a pleasure to address the audience today.
Great. We have a couple of questions that we're going to ask her. Hey, I heard the news from everybody, all the people that's watching this, they wanted to find out some information. So I'm going to ask her these great questions. So first up, one of the questions that I have is, why are you interested in the position running for mayor?
In 2012, I was going through a transition in my life living in North Carolina. My daughter was grown, and I said, okay, it's time to go back home. When I left here at 17, I never dreamed I would want to come back home, but something in me was yearning to be back near my sisters and my mom. So 2012, I put on Facebook, I said, I'm going to come back to Humboldt and I'm going to run for mayor. Now, the reason that I said that is I've been watching the journey of Humboldt since my departure, and I felt like there were things that I had learned having been away from Humboldt that would help, develop the city and make it great again. And I could see, some of the pains that were occurring. I said, I'm going to come back and do that. So I kind of haphazardly talked about it on Facebook in 2012, and the great thing about Facebook is it reminds you every year memories that you did that.
Yes.
And then in 2015, when I actually moved here, I made the announcement pretty much to everybody that I was going to run for mayor.
Great. You know what? When it comes to technology, it can be a very powerful thing when it comes to running for office or anything, because you can reach so many people.
Yes, and I kind of use it as my own mechanism to keep up with my life and tell the story of my life. And I have friends all over the world, and hi to you all out there around the world, and I like to share my journey, and it's an easy way when you're someone that hasn't just been in the same place all the time. It's such an easy mechanism to keep up with your friends in different places.
Right. Tell me this, what are the roles of running for mayor?
Well, first of all, you report basically to the city council. So while you think you may run the city, you really don't, because you've got to get consensus. First of all, you want to serve your community and serve the citizens of the community, but you count on the aldermen who represent the various wards to bring the concerns of, the concerns and the strengths. I tell people I don't want to necessarily focus on all the things we've got to work on. We need to take time to celebrate our successes in each community. And so it's a responsibility of the alderman to bring, what's going well and what areas of opportunity for growth each ward needs. And that's really something I look forward to holding the elected city officials accountable to for the first time. As I've gone through this campaign, and I tell people that's kind of what the aldermen should be doing, they all kind of like, well, that's not what mine's doing. And as soon as that comes out of their mouth, and I tell them, now's a great time to make a change. If your alderman is not serving you in the capacity that they should be serving you, please evaluate all candidates. And sometimes just a fresh new start in an area can really help make some good progress. So, obviously responsibility to serve the citizens of the community as mayor. Hear from the alderman, bring that in. I think the biggest thing is to be a strong representation for this city. You are the face of the city. So what is it that we're showing potential businesses coming into the community? What is it we're showing them in regards to our education in this community that is positive, because you are the face of that city? And so that's kind of how I do it.
So for my viewers, she just finished pointing out to you guys, there are a couple of steps that you have to take. We just can't jump up and say that we're going to run for mayor. There are different things that you have to do in order to prepare yourself in order to run for mayor.
Yeah.
I know it's so many people that's out there that probably did not even know that they have the same opportunity as you to run for mayor.
Of course. And I was just discussing, we're at the junior high school in Humboldt right now putting bikes together. I have some volunteers here, and I'm helping to work with them on a program called Bikes for Kids. You'll hear more about that later.
Right.
But I didn't know the steps. I started Googling, right? I mean, how do you find out anything anymore? I went to Google and found out, I have to go to the Gibson County Election Commission.
Yeah.
I get a petition. You have to get 25 signatures on that petition. If you're running for alderman, you have to get the signatures specifically from your ward that you're living in and that your alderman represents. If you are running for mayor, you get 25 signatures of anybody that's within the city limits. Now, the interesting thing about that, if you're new into this game, is I don't know why I assumed everybody was registered to vote. I know that's a silly thing to assume, but you start getting signatures, and if you take 25 in, there's probably 10 on there because I didn't ask them originally. I was like, I never asked them, are you registered? I just got them to sign.
Right.
And they were like, oh yeah. But most of the citizens don't even know they have to be registered to vote to sign a petition. So
Wow.
it's
Wow.
kind of a crazy situation. So the best thing to do is to get 50 signatures. That way, if people say they are registered, once you turn those signatures in, then they check them, right? And they go down through there, check, and a bunch of them fall off, and then you still have enough to push that petition forward to be qualified as a candidate.
Wow.
So that's the very first step that you have to do. And then from that point, once you're a qualified candidate, there's a cutoff date for all the different candidates to come in. You kind of sit and wait to see who's going to get in the game, right? And then once that drop dead date's off, then the campaign begins. Now, of course, I was campaigning before it, but the campaign begins once that happens. The other critically important piece to this as a candidate that you need to be aware of is there's a financial component to it. You have to do fundraising. Every single dollar that you get in as a donation to your campaign has to be reported at the state level. So at the state level, you have to go, and I'll take this back to you better be computer savvy nowadays because it's done online. It's not a paper process. I've tried to move all of Humboldt off this paper process and getting into technology, but you have to go online and report every single donation, every single spend, and that's done on a quarterly basis. So, you kind of, and it's on their quarter. So even though I announced July 4th, into September, 1st of October is when I've got to put that report through to the state, and it has to be updated every quarter.
Wow.
And again, if you don't do these things as a candidate, then you have the opportunity to be fined or get in trouble. So it's a very serious process.
Okay.
It's not a haphazard thing.
Wow. So you heard it first. There are a lot of steps that you have to take when you make a decision that you want to run for mayor. So I have some more questions. You already know I do. Got some more questions.
I said ask whatever you want. Hey, transparency is the number one platform of my campaign.
Right.
I want to help educate people. I want people to know what this is about because I believe it'll be important to get engagement on November 2nd on voter day.
Right.
You gotta be bad, you gotta be bold, you gotta be wiser.
Right.
You gotta be tough, you gotta be smart, you gotta be stronger.
You gotta be all of it.
Sorry,
that
that just
kind
kind of came back in my.
How are you treated as a woman in this industry?
Well, I'll start by just sharing with you 16% of the elected officials in this state are women. So, again, it's quite odd for people to experience a woman out campaigning. Even last year when I ran for state representative, I would have my name on my shirt, right? And they would look at me and automatically assume many times that my husband was running and that I was helping my husband, which I thought was odd considering it said Christine Warrington on the front of the shirt at the time. So, people are not accustomed to seeing women and it's hard for me to say that in that it is 2021, we are in the 21st century. It's hard for me to say that because I have been in so many industries that have watched women develop in them where there were no women. So I kind of feel like I was brought back home again to introduce this community to women being in positions like this. And so I take a lot of time just educating people, explaining to people why there's few women in it. That's probably why you think that way. I don't hold it as anything negative, but most of the time, you know, they think it's my husband running. A lot of times I campaign to little kids while the parents are sitting in the background. The little girls are just mesmerized that there's a woman. Even last night I was sharing with you earlier, I was campaigning to a family down on Main Street in Humboldt, and I gave the card to the little girl, and I campaigned to the daughter and the son, and I campaigned to the parent. And the little girl, when she finished, turned around and said, "Mom, I want to be mayor." She had never experienced that, so it just inspired her to do so. So people are not accustomed to seeing it. It's a novelty for them. Of course, it's going to make the journey harder, and I'm just grateful in that, you know, being 62 in December, that I've already trained myself through various industries to be the first. So it's not as challenging for me to go through this. I can't imagine, like I'm coaching a couple of women now to get into politics. I'm trying my best to give back as I learn, and I'll go in and throw her name out, Miss Angela Reed. I'm sitting in the junior high school right now, and her husband, Junior Reed, and I, you know, he was a big athletic person. I was the band person. We were both voted most talented in high school. We both went to UT Knoxville. I came back connected with Junior. He and his lovely wife are still serving this community every single day so diligently. But Angela's interested in getting into politics and serving on a city council, so I've been sharing all my information with her and telling her what it's like. You got to be tough. You got to be bad. You got to be bold. You got to be wiser. You got to be tough. You got to be smart. You got to be stronger.
You got to be all of it. You
Sorry,
got to
that
be all
just
of
kind
it.
of came back in my head. That's a good song of mine that inspires me when I, you know, have to get out and draw for my last piece of energy. I will put that song on, and I'll go out and get the job done.
And get motivated.
Yeah, but listen to that song because it kind of gives you an idea of what you need to be to do this, because it is not for the faint of heart. And if they do treat you nice, just know as soon as you turn around, you're going to get a punch. So you got to be, you literally have to be prepared for the most ridiculous things ever. I'll just say
Wow. I tell you what, I had the opportunity to kind of follow her around today just to see some of the things that she's doing. And guess what? I am so happy. You probably can't see it, but I'm wearing tennis shoes.
You have to wear tennis shoes.
Yes, just to keep up with her. She is on the move. Do you hear me? She's all over the place outside, campaigning, talking to people, helping people to get to know her. And also the community is able to tell them of their concerns. And she's able to address everybody, letting everybody know what she have up her sleeves and some of the changes that she's going to make for the good. So while we're on this subject, can you tell me, once I'm speaking future tense, once you become mayor,
Once I become mayor.
what changes do you have for the community?
Well, I've been sharing this, you know, before I even started campaigning, I put together a 30, 60, 90-day plan, just talking points of things that I can share with potential voters on what I want to do right out of the bat. And I tell people, when you first get into a position or something, anything I've ever served in or anything I've been hired to serve in, I have what I call soft goals, things that are easy wins to give to the community, almost like a gift I'm going to give back to the community for voting for me. Those soft wins for me are really around communication. I believe we've been sorely lacking in consistent communication from our leaders in this community, and being transparent and letting them know what we have going on every day, I think is critically important. Right now, this city does not have any structure in place to effectively communicate communicate to the citizens of this town.
Right.
We're the only city in Gibson County that doesn't have an active website at the city level, nor do we have a social media platform. We all know everybody uses this thing right here.
Exactly.
And so you've got to be able to communicate to the citizens this way. Right now, if you want to know when a public meeting is, a city meeting, you have to either call downtown to the city hall or you have to drive downtown. I've actually been telling you, well, we put it on the bulletin board. I was like, wait, are there bulletin boards?
So we got to go drive to the
like
bulletin
with
board.
little thumbtacks? And yes, that's how this city is run right now. They are paper driven. They are not technology driven. And I really want right out of the bat to move this town into the 21st century and give the people what they want, which is easy access to the day-to-day activities that are going on in this town. The chamber is doing that right now. They're not supposed to be doing it. They made it clear to me that they weren't supposed to be doing it, but now they're doing it because I've made it such a contention point in this city. So I want to get that. The other soft goal right out of the bat I'm going to do is address the animal situation in town. We have an exorbitant amount of feral cats roaming our streets. We also have we have a pound that is almost difficult to look at if you go down there. So I've served temporarily on a board here in town for the rescue group. All the animals at my farm are rescue animals. I'm a big proponent of not just rescuing the animals, but again, going back to education and how important that is, educating people who own cats and dogs about their responsibility as pet owners. I believe that should be in parallel with taking care of pets if a pound or a rescue service gets involved with it. So those are two soft wins I plan on doing in the first 60 days. I know we've already got a grant going to upgrade our animal facilities in this town, but I want a lot of training to be done by our Public Works Department on how to handle them and how do we make positive transitions in our communities when those animals want to get adopted back out.
Yes.
So that's a couple things. And outside of that, anytime I've gone into a corporation that's ever hired me to come in for transformational change, and I view this city in that same boat, I like to go in and speak to every single department, get to know them, give them an idea of where my head is in this game, talk about what their needs are, and then figure out what I can do to move forward to work with them. And all of us work together as a cohesive team.
Exactly. Because I know when it comes to the animals, I know a lot of work is needed when it comes to that, trying to help place animals. So everybody, I want you guys to continue to follow her, and she's going to give you her handles of how to reach out to her, especially once she is put into position. Animals is going to need some assistance. They're going to need homes, and she will be able to point you in the right direction that you will probably need to go in order to help and assist. Because this isn't just a community thing, it's a worldwide thing. So it's time for everybody to put on their gloves, put on your boots, and let's get ready to go to work. So if you have any handles on how people can contact you, if they want some assistance in trying to help a pet in need, what can you tell them today?
Thank you. Well, first of all, the easiest thing you can do is Google me.
Okay.
Back to transparency. Google Christine Warrington. You will find all my handles on there. You'll find my Facebook pages. You'll find a website. You can really find anything you want to about me in that mode, because I'll go back to I'm very transparent. There's nothing I want to hide. Also, you can find my phone number. I encourage you to reach out to me by phone. One of the things I'm going to do once I get into position as mayor is dedicate some time on my calendar every single week to speak to the citizens of this town.
Right.
I want to hear from you.
Plus.
I want, and we need to, when you're a busy person, you have to dedicate time to do things. And so I want to hear from citizens. I want to have citizens board meetings so that we hear from our community, and I know what your needs are and what we have going on. So please Google me. Look on Facebook, Christine Warrington. You can find both Vote for Warrington Facebook pages and then my personal page, and I'll engage with you in either of those formats. I'm also on Instagram under the same name, Snapchat, Twitter. Do it all.
Got it all.
Do it all. Communicate.
There it is. Everybody, she just gave you a mouthful. She gave you a whole lot of information and dropped some nuggets on you guys. I hope you all like what we're doing today. We're trying to educate more people about all the different work and different things that go into running for mayor. I know a lot of times TV have a way of making it glamorized, but it's a lot of work that goes along with it. It is not easy. Believe me, I have followed her today. And let me tell you all, if you hear any noise in the background, which I'm sure you do, we are in a gym. This is a junior high. This is Humboldt.
This is the old junior high gym that I grew up in when I was at school here. And again, we're putting bicycles together for third graders in here today. We have a volunteer, Mr. Clifford. He's over there working diligently, and the fan is on in the background because there's no AC in here. So, but we're in here working side by side by some of the volunteers in our community.
Right, and I'm also going to show you a lot of the bicycles that the volunteers have been working on, so they can give back to the community and help some of the children with obesity.
Yeah, it's called Bikes for Kids. It's a national program that focuses on reading literature, leadership, and exercise as a component to key success. And Dr. Gina, who is the head pediatrician here at Rainbow Pediatrics in Humboldt, is the one who applied for the grant for this and received it. And then we worked with Ms. Stokes over at East Elementary and myself and some volunteers to get this program in place, and it'll be launched November 9th.
Wow. So you see a lot of great things is happening in the community. So everybody, if you can, just shout her name out in your bedroom, outside, or wherever, that this lady is put in position so she can do a job for this community. So again, this is Kim with Big Sense. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Kim.
I know you're a busy lady.